Hello and thank you for joining us on today's edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Esther Mopariola. Today on the program, 6 bodies recovered, some inmates escape as gunmen attack Jos Correctional Facility. APC vows to challenge Soludo's victory in the Anambra Governorship election. And later on the show, passengers stranded as middlemen jack up prices of tickets at Kaduna Train Station. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kayode Balogun. Journalist Hangout starts now. Well, for the umpteenth time, custodial facilities are being attacked across Nigeria to the chagrin of all of us. Now, in the latest episode of this saga, gunmen with sophisticated weapons attacked the medium security custodial center in Jos Plateau State in large numbers. Now, the attackers, who arrived at the center at about 5:20 p.m. on Sunday, engaged the armed personnel in a gun battle at the main gate before breaking into the yard. About 10 persons died during the invasion, while many inmates escaped. The State Commissioner of Police, Bartholomew Onyeka, who led the reinforcement to the scene, directed the entire center be cordoned off. Babajide, let's begin with you on this matter now. Let's talk about this, because this is more like a recurring occurrence where our correctional centers are being attacked, or we have instances of jailbreaks. What do you make of this latest happening now in Jos?
Well, it's becoming fairly regular, and the attack on this correctional facility or prisons, as those of us who are conservative like to call them, was second this year, but barely 4 months ago they came to set free some of their friends who are in detention. Don't also forget that some people were taken to court in Barking Ladi, and gunmen stormed the court building and freed some of the people who were to be put on trial. Now they were arrested and taken to that correctional facility. The suspicion is that it's the same people who masterminded the attack on the court premises and freed people who are supposed to be put on trial in Barking Ladi that went to this prison to attack it. I've read that the invaders were trapped and all that. Absolute falsehood.
Why do you say so?
Because I know. That's why I said so. When these things happen, the greatest casualty is usually the truth. In covering war in our country, the greatest casualty is always the truth. Never believe all of the things that you see put out there in the media, because image makers are out to present themselves as doing their job diligently, and in the process mislead the media and then mislead our people. The deputy governor of Plateau State went to the prison to assess what happened. He didn't see anybody trapped. In this attack, 9 inmates were killed by our own security forces. 1 correctional officer was killed by the invaders. Only 1 invader lost his life. No arrest. If indeed people were trapped, if the invaders were indeed trapped. So why haven't we arrested them? Nigerians should learn to ask questions. And people tell you, oh, we killed 400 insurgents, and they parade 4 guns. What they are telling you is that those 400 people that were killed, only 4 of them were armed. So do you go to storm a military base barehanded? So there are natural questions that people should ask. Yet again, we failed. We could not stop this from happening. We could not deal decisively with the invaders. Yet, the police headquarters in Jos, the DSS office in Jos, they are located within the same area as the prison. So the question you ask yourself is, how did these invaders manage to get past the police headquarters, manage to get past the DSS facility, to go and attack that place, took their time to set ablaze the office where records are kept, the IT facility there, they set it ablaze. They have a reason for destroying records, so that your ability to profile those who have escaped would
be difficult.
Yes, that is what they have done. And I say that we failed, because we couldn't, it's only one invader lost his life. They escaped. The rest of them escaped. That is evidence that security collapsed, the security failed. Let no one come and tell you that they were trapped. That's what we read in the paper. Oh, trapped. Where were they trapped? They all escaped. They escaped. Not one person has been arrested among the invaders. So tell me, if indeed they were trapped, as we were made to believe, the press will rush to go and publish outright propaganda.
All right, let me quickly get your thoughts on this, Gani. Why do you think this is becoming a gradually frequent occurrence where we have jailbreaks in our country today?
Well, jailbreaks are not peculiar to Nigeria. They are not even as daring as in some other climes. But we created a pattern now that those of us who are old school wonder what happened to the fear factor that we used to know the uniformed forces for. There was a time that's very rare for you to pass through the front of a prison and not be afraid because of the reputation that they've built as an institution. Now they pick them off like flies. And when it happened in Benin last year, I said on this program that we may be in the beginning of a pattern that will not be able to control down the line. Because the Nigerian mentality is to copy. Whenever somebody has done something and got away with it, the chances are other people assume they will do it. And this is one of the fundamental points that you look out for in a failing state. When criminals have the audacity to face state authorities and win. Because like it's been stated, if they can come in such a secure part of Jos, do what they have to do over a period of 2 hours, and lost only one out of, let's say, let's work for basically that they are 20. That means their loss is 0.5%. Meanwhile, we lost an officer and we lost people in the custody of the state. And custodial facilities are basically designed to protect you while you are being incarcerated. Somebody in jail should not be afraid unless he's on death row and he's going to die. But my fear is that once this is done, other criminal gangs across the country, just like it did with the police, when the Boko Haram people started attacking police formations, they will now see our prisons as a soft target for them to take out their friends. And don't be surprised if taking out prisons becomes soft targets. The next targets will be our courts. And that will be the danger indeed.
Indeed, dangerous to even think about that. But Babajide, let's not forget that these correctional centers, we understand, are sometimes overcrowded. And available statistics have also showed that about 7 out of 10 inmates are awaiting trial. Now, do you think this could have been a factor for this kind of jailbreaks and attacks on our correctional
Absolutely not.
facilities?
That the correctional facility is overcrowded is not a reason, it's not an incentive for criminals to storm the place and then free people. No.
So what could
These criminals, these are bandits. They have their mates, their colleagues in being kept in those prisons. If you look at the pattern since 2010 that we've been having jailbreaks and all that, the bandits or the terrorists pick particular prisons where their friends, their colleagues are being kept, and they go there to free those people so that they will not face justice. When Boko Haram attacked Kano some years back and killed up to 200 people in one day, they attacked the Bompai police headquarters, attacked the cell there to free some of their people. They attacked the immigration office to free their people. So they will not simply attack a place without a clear goal, a clear intention. The intention in this case, just as I provided the background about the court premises that they attacked. When the court was attacked, they succeeded in freeing their people. Then they were rearrested. Some of them were rearrested, not everyone. And taken back to that prison. That made them to go back to that prison with the intention of freeing their people. It's the same thing that they've done in Kaba, in Kogi State, where they attacked the prison with the intention of freeing their people. They've attacked the prison in Kotonkarfi in the past on a few occasions with the intention, Boko Haram men, with the intention of freeing their people. We've seen at the apogee of the strength of the Niger Delta militants, in broad daylight, they attacked the prison in Port Harcourt with dynamites and other explosives to free their men who were held captive there. So it's their own way of ensuring that their men are not brought to justice. And as I suggested the last time we had this jailbreak, the Minister of Interior has to have a meeting with the heads of the Nigerian Armed Forces with the intention of securing the prisons. If we can't keep bloodthirsty people, bandits, terrorists, if we can't keep them perpetually in the slammer, or at least until they are brought to justice, then it means we are wide open. If they can just attack a prison and just free people, free their men, then it means that the state is failing, because these kind of people should not be moving freely.
Right.
If they get out of prison in that manner, they will even be more deadly. So that's why we must do our best to secure the prisons where we have these people, ensure that those prisons are incapable of being breached by these elements. And, and if we have DSS facility close to the place, We have police headquarters close to the place, and this kind of thing is happening, and we are putting story in the media that they've been trapped just to make Nigerians happy. Then the Nigerians who were happy that they had that the invaders were trapped. Okay. The next question they should ask is, after being trapped,
let me hold your thoughts for a moment. So we take this call from Port Harcourt. Prince, please go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, journalist Hangout.
Good evening.
Yeah, as for this insecurity is getting out of hand, and to me, I really believe there is some people giving these people information. Some of those working in the prison yard are giving those perpetrators of this crime information, because there are people that are giving them information that they are working against the police. So there are back eggs in the police, in the prison, in the correctional district there that are giving these people information. So the security will just thank and pray God that it should stop, because this thing is getting out of hand.
Right. Thank you very much, Prince, for your contribution there. Now, Gani, you mentioned initially.
Let me just respond quickly.
All right, go ahead.
Criminals have information. Criminals, Boko Haram elements, terrorists, bandits, they do some level of reconnaissance, they do some level of intelligence gathering. Whether you provide information for them or not, they know where their mates are being kept. They interact with them. A prison is different from a DSS facility, for example. People are able to communicate with detainees, with inmates. So they know that those guys are there. It's not a question, oh, they are providing information. They know that their mates are there, and they also know the level of security available at those prisons, so they can plan ahead. Whenever we have cause to negotiate with Boko Haram in any way through the third party, they will say, okay, release some of our bomb makers, and they will tell you the prison where those bomb makers are being kept. They are not fools. They have information. So this is the thing. Whether somebody tells them, no, they know that their mates are here. They followed developments, and at a given time, they can then decide to launch an operation. All we need to do is secure those places properly.
Indeed. Now, Gani, a while ago you mentioned that the criminal gangs, for instance, terrorists like the Boko Haram and all of that, will see the prison as soft targets and likelihood the courts as well. Now, but could you expatiate more about the far-reaching implications of this recent attacks if this is not checked?
I think we have to go a little bit into theory here. The number one step of government is security of lives and property. So they are agents of states that are mandated by law to carry arms. For under the law, they are the only people mandated by law to carry arms legally. And they are in all the armed professions. The prison is the holding part of the justice system. That means you are taken to prison, either you are waiting trial, or if you have been sentenced, go back to prison to serve out that term. Prisons are supposed to be secured. That's why they are designated low, medium, and high security. People like bomb makers for Boko Haram and Co. should not be in a medium security facility, because they are high risk. Again, like we said last week, we keep pretending we are not at war. We are still using kid gloves to tackle matters of utmost importance, because it is obvious now that the prisons are going to be a target wherever you're holding their members or holding people of interest. And they are not going to be based on ideology alone. Even common criminals now will see this as an opportunity to ensure that their mates are never brought to justice. Now, if you now secure the prisons to a reasonable level, the next target, of course, will be the courts. Because they've lost out when they to stop them from being arrested, they've lost out from them being locked up. Now, movement from courts, from prison to courts becomes a thing that we have to now take seriously. Because sometimes they are taking people to prison and they will be caught in traffic jam, generally in Kenya. And you look at it and say, okay, right now anything can happen. And the distance they are going is not very far, maybe about 10-15 minutes. But you know the danger, even as a civilian, that this can pertain for if their members are in that particular black market. That's why in the old days, like I said, on court days on Lagos Island, roads leading to the court between the prison are usually kept open so that nobody can pass through there and traffic will be diverted. I'm not saying we should do that all the time, but if you know you are holding people of interest in particular facilities, and it's obvious that it can no longer be picked up when they destroy or attack prisons. I don't want to call it jailbreak. Maybe we should call it jail invasion. Because it's an invasion on the prisons. Then we have to do something quickly. And this is why we are alerting the country that please, not only must we secure our correctional facilities, we must also secure every aspect of the chain that leads to justice against criminals.
Right.
That's the only way that the state can now say they're in control.
Absolutely. But today, what other options do you think can be explored to contain this frequent attacks on our correctional facilities?
We need to also build modern prisons. Those prisons are too old, and the prisons, Nigerian prisons, do not really correct detainees or inmates. Some of them come out hardened. Somebody could be detained there. At the time he was detained, he was not detained for armed robbery, but he will come out, become sufficiently hardened, and he will then become an armed robber. So we should make the prisons even more conducive. We can't build the kind of prisons that they have in Norway, that are just like five-star hotels. But at least the prisons should be truly correctional and reformatory nature. Absolutely. So, and then the issue of awaiting trial, people staying in jail for so long, should be addressed. There were occasions when some people needed to be brought to court, even for bail hearing, and the Black Maria would probably not have the battery or the Black Maria would have gone flat, and they won't be able to appear. I know someone like that too on different occasions. Before the late Beko Ransom Kuti, who was also detained in the same prison, you know, having been jailed by Abacha, now stepped in to help the person. And the day they brought him to court was the day he was freed. There are many people like that. We need to do something about our prisons. 3,000 prisoners freed between 2016 and 2016 and 2021. 3,000 prisoners have been freed. That is a staggering number. Staggering,
but let me hold your thoughts on that. We need to take this call from Lokoja. Akintunde, please go ahead with your contribution.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm a first-time caller.
Oh,
welcome.
Thank you for calling.
This issue we are discussing this evening is a very, very vital issue. We are close to 2023 election, and prisoners are being free. It's a concern issue to any good Nigerian citizen. We need to look further than the way we are thinking. I am a criminology student, and I know what it takes to attack any prison. It will take not less than minimum of 6 months plan to 1 year plan to attack any prison. So it's not a big plan, and we need some people have reason to ask questions in this country. What is happening to their budget? What is really happening? How are they gathering their intelligence? How? To go and break a jail. It's not a joke. It's never a joke at all. It's beyond what we are saying in the studio. It's not a joke. We have a minister of the interior, 2 of them. We have a minister. We have PAMSEX. The money allocated.
All right, Akintunde, I have to let you go now because of time, but thank you very much for your position and contribution as well on the program. You're still on to Journalists Hangout. We'll take a short break and be back with the rest of the show. Stay with us. Now, from the electoral field, the battle for the November 6th governorship election in Anambra State is shifting to the courtroom. The leadership of the All Progressives Congress has vowed to challenge the election results by the Independent National Electoral Commission, declaring Professor Chukwuma Soludo of the All Progressives Grand Alliance as winner. Well, the state chairman of APC, Basil Ejidike, pointed out that the party resolved to challenge the outcome of the poll at the tribunal because they are convinced that the right things weren't done. Babajide, let's look at this matter critically. You know, there have been several positions on this saying that the APC might not have a chance if it seeks to contest the outcome of the election results at the tribunal. But what's your position, and where do you see this leading to?
Well, I think it's Andy Uba and his friends who can explain what really they are out to achieve with by their intention to go to court. Somebody told me that, well, if Hope Uzodinma, who came fourth, became governor through the courts, that you cannot write off somebody who came third. But the truth is, the PDP came second in the election. They have congratulated Soludo. President Buhari, who is the leader of the APC, has congratulated Soludo. All the former governors of the party, of Anambra, irrespective of their political affiliations, have congratulated the ABGA candidate. In fact, President Buhari not only said that the election was free and fair, he also expressed a desire to work with Professor Charles Soludo when he eventually takes the mantle of power. But the APC leadership, or a section of the APC leadership, because you cannot talk about APC leadership in Anambra without talking about the little man who is the Minister of Labor, because he it was that brought APC to Anambra State, and is the highest ranking Anambrarian in government. So by that token, he's the leader of the party in the state. And he has said, that was by the APC constitution, he's the leader of the party. And he has congratulated Professor Charles Soludo, having won the election. George Mohalu is also one of the leaders of the APC in the state. In fact, he's originally from the CPC. He's the CEO of Inland Waterways. And he has said publicly that the ABGA candidate won the election convincingly. So for somebody who was a distant third, to in spite of the fact that the leader of his party has deemed the election free and fair, to still be going about saying certain things were not properly done. What were those things that were not properly done? EU observers came, they looked at this election and passed it free, fair and credible. International observers, the local observers too, the same thing. So, and everyone knows that INEC deployed some form of technology that made it difficult, made the election difficult to rig, because your facials, your face
it's been identified.
Yes, and probably your gap tooth would be
picked up by the machine.
Yes, and matched
with the name,
with your biometric data. If they do not see any of those, you are not going to be allowed to vote. So the era of simply doing mass thumb printing is gone. You have to get past those roadblocks that INEC had created for you to be qualified to vote in the election. And they deployed it in this election. Absolutely. And we made the election credible. So I really don't know what Anduba is after. You do not lose anything if an election is free and fair and you simply walk away. After all, that's what the people, even Peter Obi, who should be angry, he built the party in the state. The current governor quarreled with him. In the interest of peace, Peter Obi walked away. He left the party for him. That's a man that he brought. He left the party for him. Peter Obi has already congratulated Soludo. You know, everybody. So I don't know where. And the interesting thing is, even Andy Uba, you know, the primaries that brought him to office has already been challenged. In fact, on December 20, the Federal High Court will give judgment on whether he was validly nominated for that election. What if that judgment should have been given on November 4?
Before the election? Yes,
but it was deemed too close to the election. Now, the judge will give his verdict on December 20. What if that judge now goes ahead to say he was not even valid? So how does he then challenge the election in court? Because it's happened before.
Gani, now with this position taken by Babajide, what are the likely chances now? Let's hear your thoughts that the APC will win if it chooses to challenge the election results at the tribunal.
In the first place, Andy Uba has every right to go to court. So we are not denying him that right. He has the legitimate right to challenge the election, no matter how clean, no matter how untouchable the election was. So that one, he has his rights. And of course, the president was just explaining his own personal opinion on the matter. I think what we need to work on really is why is Andy Uba doing this? Andy Uba, as you know, virtually snatched the party from Dr. Ngige in the primaries with that fantastic surge of members that came in to elect him, 250,000 of them, who are nowhere to be seen on the election day. And his relevance as a party man is now in question because he has tried this, I think, 2-3 times. I think he was even the governor for a bit. So to keep his people happy and to keep his team, for them to now start the campaign to APGA to get appointments, this is what he thought he needed to do. Down the line may not really amount to much. But sometimes you have to understand the way politicians think. They don't think like you and I. 2 + 2 to them is not 4. 2 + 2 may end up at 2,560.
Or 22 itself.
So sometimes you just have to take it as part of the game and let it go. Because it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. But to the man himself, he must have his reasons. And one of them, of course, is to remain relevant, either within the APC in Anambra State or to become a national player within the party.
But Babajide, what do you think should be the focus of Andy Uba and his party, you know, even as it contests, as against contesting the outcome of the polls? What do you think should be the focus now if you believe that the party doesn't stand a chance in winning at the tribunal?
I think these are just symptoms of the division within the APC.
Right.
They are bitter that they didn't get the support of some stakeholders within the party. And people like Dr. Chris Ngige have been accused of working against the party, and they are even saying that they will suspend the leader, of the party in the state. That's Dr. Chris Ngige, saying, look, he calls himself leader, but he never really worked for the party. You know, the primaries that that Andy Uba won bred so much anger within the party because they felt he did not win transparently. And even the chairman of the party, AGDK, said that it was Dr. Chris Ngige that spearheaded the protest against the outcome of the primaries. When you have a situation in which somebody emerges and a cross-section of the members of the party did not really agree that he emerged validly, and you are going into an election, of course it's going to be tough for you. A lot of them were hoping that he will lose. And many of the party members voted against him just to see his back because they felt that he did not even deserve to win in the first place. So it is the battle for control of the party that we are seeing. They want to move against people within the party that they felt worked against them. But they must first try to show that they didn't lose, the election, give themselves some hope, and then move against people that they felt worked against the emergence of Andy Uba. Because Andy Uba spent a lot of money, both his own and contributions for other people who somehow felt that APC could win in Anambra State. Where that hope came from, I really cannot explain. But politicians are naturally very optimistic. You see clearly that black is white. The black is black. But the politician will tell you that black is white. So that is the thing. But politicians, a man that they know that best will come 10th in an election, politicians will start calling him Excellency the day he made up his mind to contest. My chair is contesting for chairman. He's not likely to win. He can't even get close to winning. But they will be hailing, my chair, my chair. That's what they will be calling him. His wife too. They will be calling the wife, my chairperson, my chairperson. That is how politicians deceive themselves. They move against reality. They revolt against reason. It's in their nature to do that. So for me, if you saw, I believe that Andy Uba could have even done better in that election, but did he really campaign? He cited insecurity and all that. He didn't really campaign. People can see pictures of him where he was campaigning because of insecurity. Whereas even the ABGA candidate who was attacked and lost 3 of his policemen, the ABGA rally was attacked in Ihiala, but he didn't stop Soludo from campaigning even the next day, the day after they killed his people.
Right,
so
let me hold your thoughts for this.
If you fail to campaign for an election, then you should expect the outcome.
Okay, let's quickly take this call from Ilorin. Ololade, please go ahead with your contribution.
Good evening. I'm Akeola Ololade from Ilorin, Kwara State.
Good evening. Go ahead with your contribution.
I want to speak as regards to the breaking of a correctional center. So what they need to do is to fortify those centers more and more. And also our security operatives should work on intelligence gathering, because criminality is advancing every day. And in fact, their own intelligence gathering is more superb than the security operatives. And so this thing has to be tackled holistically. And again, we should stop playing politics with security matters. One will be always be sad when our security operative goes to other countries. They do well. But why is our own problem still lingering on since 2009? And in fact, it's advancing every day. Criminalities are getting on with their nefarious act.
All right, Ololade, I'm afraid we cannot continue further, but thank you very much for all you've said so far on the show. Gani, before we wrap up this segment, what will it take now to unite others who are aggrieved now by the outcome of the elections, which was relatively
fair and fair?
Well, let's look at the APC. Let's look at the APC.
Well, I think the job is basically that of Dr. Ngige. As the highest ranking government functionary from that state, it behoves on him to unite the party right now. After this, of course, this clownish shenanigan that the Uba and his boys are doing. Because the earlier they come together, the earlier they can achieve what I thought will be the agenda for the Southeast when it comes to 2023. And if some other players are moving into APC from Ebonyi and Co. And while Anambra has been standing firm for the last 6 years, they need to unite quickly. Or whatever is coming to the Southeast may pass them by. So you cannot, as the leader, just pretend that the election is over. This is time to start building and to start building well. Because while Anambra remains an Abga state, the result shows that on a good day, APC can put up a good show. They may not win, but they put up a good show.
Indeed. Now let's move on to our next segment, which talks about the impact of insecurity, especially kidnapping and banditry, is telling on Nigerians. Now, rail transport, which has become the preferred means of traveling from Abuja to Kaduna, is facing a fresh challenge. Several travelers trying to board the Kaduna-Abuja train at the Rigasa station in Kaduna are complaining of ticket racketeering by railway officials. And as a result of this, desperate passengers have been forced to buy tickets from middlemen at exorbitant prices. And the situation is compounded by the crashing of the e-ticketing website of the Nigeria Railway Corporation since Friday, and some staff are using the opportunity to connive with middlemen to inflate price of tickets. Now, Babajide, when does the Abuja-Kaduna rail started, everyone was, happy and elated that this is something good, coming out of our country. Now we are having to hear this situation where middlemen are cashing in on a failed e-ticketing website, more or less, making it difficult for people to use this railway system, what people had been happy about in the first instance. Now, what do you make of this, and how do you think instances such as what we are hearing now can be regulated so that people do not have to pay it through their noses, if I would use that language?
Well, this thing has been on for some time, and it didn't start today. Maybe it just occurred to the media to focus on it at this time, because these fat cats making money out of an unfortunate situation. Because if many people found the Abuja Kaduna highway safe, they won't get into a train. They won't get into a train. But everyone knows how dangerous it is to drive along that road, and in the last 2 weeks there had been many cases of attack on that road by bandits, kidnapping of people, and even the killing of a gubernatorial aspirant from Zamfara, who was also traveling on that road. They shot him and left his jeep in the bush. So people who want to profit from the misfortune that you and I are going through, they always pick the right moment.
All right, let me hold your thought on that. I'm sorry now, we need to go on this very quick break. You're still on to Journalist Hangout. We'll have more discussions on this. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still on to Journalist Hangout, and we'll be discussing the level of insecurity on the highways with regards to the rail transport, which has been the ticketing system, which has been hijacked by some middlemen. And Bajide, you're about giving us much more on your position on this before we went on break.
Those greedy people out to profit from the misfortune that you and I are going through, they always pick an opportune moment. Now, in the last few weeks, there had been attacks on that route. They sense that at this time, people would rather die than get on that route. So they would rather get on the train. So there will be increased demand for train tickets because more and more people, having seen those videos that went viral of attacks on that route, would at this time not want to
go through that.
Yes, you know, for some time we didn't hear stories about that route. But over a number of days, like 4 days, those guys are consistently coming to attack people on that road. So they sense that at this time, people will not want to use that road at all. Everyone will want to get
the railway.
Or most people will like to use the train. So this is the time when they have contrived to make the online platform basically useless. Because it is via the online platform that you can get the ticket at the real price. So what these middlemen have done, and I wonder why the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, cannot find a solution to this nonsense. What they have done is to simply buy off the tickets from conniving staff and then sell at exorbitant prices to people, at exorbitant rates to desperate travelers. Ticket that is meant to be sold at 5,000, you see people desperate to buy it at 10,000. This is a journey of 2 hours, for God's sake. When that road was good in the 90s, vehicles would not do more than 1 hour, 30 minutes to get to Abuja. You know? But at this time, we have a situation in which people don't want to use the road. Because people don't want to use the road, they are now forced to get into the trains. So tickets meant for 3,000, they will sell for 5,000. Now they are even saying that the online portal has crashed. Online platform has crashed. So it then means that
you have no choice.
You have no choice but to patronize these middlemen.
But can't this be regulated? You know, you talked about Rotimi Amechi, that's the Minister of Transport, doing something about
this. He's got to find a solution, a creative solution to it.
What solutions that he could do at this time, knowing that this is the ember season where people get to travel more?
Yes, look at the banks, for example. We use their online portal. We don't go through a third party.
Right.
We just have to do our best to ensure that there is no human interference in this, because the more human interference in this matter, the more the corruption festers. Why are you transact your business online, your mobile banking with your bank, nobody gets involved, nobody gets in the way. Why is it that it is ticket that you can buy online that middlemen are now making it difficult for the online platform to work so that they can make money? We complain about our leaders are selfish, but the rest of us too, we need to look at ourselves in the mirror. Why does the average Nigerian prefer to cheat his fellow Nigerian? Yet, he's eager to open his mouth and say government has failed, people in government are bad. What are you doing to make Nigeria a better country? You are contributing to the rot in the system when we allow this kind of things to happen. Right. It's so unfortunate.
So, Gani, what other solutions would you proffer to this situation, knowing that many would like to travel, especially during this Yuletide?
First, disclosure, I'm a railway person. My dad was a railway man, and for most of my life, I ride the rails free of charge. So I'm totally in love with the railway. So that's why I'm disappointed that this is happening. But one of the things I thought they would have done by now, not only for Kaduna Abuja, but even Lagos Ibadan, was to increase the frequency. Because you can only hold tickets, because you know that will be the last train for the morning. And the next one will be 4 or 5 hours away. But if there is a ride every hour, the middleman will lose out. because you know definitely they cannot buy out all the tickets for about 6 or 7 trips. They will run out of money. And then you can have some people say, oh, wait for the 10 o'clock train, I'll wait for the 11 o'clock train, which I thought that by now would be the ideal thing to do within the 2 corridors that they created. Because all over the world, you have rail systems that work on an hourly shift. In some parts of the world, it's every 30 minutes. Like if you miss a particular train or subway, you just have to arrive for 15 minutes, and the next one will come. Because we are coming to December, a lot of people will travel. And one of the danger between Kaduna and Abuja, a lot of people who live in Kaduna and work in Abuja require this service more on weekends. And I thought by now, if I have access to the minister, I'll tell him, right now we should be doing nothing less than 10 shifts to and from Kaduna every day, and same thing with Ibadan. 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, both ways. That will, of course, not take away the corruption, but it will minimize it to the better, because there's no desperation anymore. If you miss the 8 o'clock train, you get to the 9 o'clock train. And by the time it's 11, the figure will have petered out to those who are conventional train users. So that's the only way to solve the problem in short run. Absolutely.
Final thoughts on this, Babajide?
No, I think that since we have seen that people want to use the train, we should invest more. We should invest more on coaches, get more coaches, create more routes, even along the way, along that same corridor, create more routes, and generally encourage more people to use the trains. It is possible for this, even this corruption, to be addressed. Look, the other day, I think it was Harik that arrested one of his staff for extortion. It can be done. Even the people behind this corruption can be unmasked. Unmask them and let people learn an exemplary lesson from what you do to those who have been unmasked.
And that's
that way, they will behave themselves.
Place to leave it. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kayode Balogun. It's a pleasure, as always, to have you both on the show.
Thank you.
And that's about it on Journalist Hangout. Join us again tomorrow for another episode. Watch a repeat broadcast tonight at 11. And don't forget to join us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Mokoriola. Many thanks for watching, and God bless Nigeria.